As of late, the Philadelphia 76ers have been looking like one of the best teams in all of the NBA. They have won 7 out of their last 10 ball games, and they are currently on a very impressive 5-game winning streak. And the reason that this winning streak is impressive to me is because it started on a Saturday night ABC ESPN primetime game against the Milwaukee Bucks, where I think the 76ers got their most impressive win on the season. Now, in my personal opinion, there's a bunch of reasons to why this is the most valuable win on the season for the 76ers. Number one, they go on the road and beat one of the best teams in all of the NBA, the Milwaukee Bucks, who is currently number 1 in the Eastern Conference. And I just think the Philadelphia 76ers, they proved a few things in that ball game. Number one, they proved that they can compete with the Boston Celtics and the Milwaukee Bucks. I never doubted that, but you guys know, if you watch shows like First Take or if you watch Undisputed, those guys always talk about Boston and Milwaukee. The Philadelphia 76ers, they never get included in that conversation. And I think after that ball game, the way that they were able to come back on the road, win on a ABC ESPN game, I think that's very big time. So I think they proved some things as a team, and I think some things were proved individually as well. We look at James Harden, who has a monster game, and James Harden, he always plays well against Giannis, and he always plays well against Drew Holiday. I think Drew Holiday has a hard time guarding left-handed players, but nonetheless, man, James Harden, who I feel like as of late has been getting disrespected a lot as a basketball player coming into this season. A lot of people saying that he's washed. Don't agree with that. And also, I think he was disrespected by getting snubbed into the All-Star game. And I love Tyrese Halliburton, but I think James Harden should have made it over him. I think James Harden is a better basketball player right now, and they had very similar numbers. And I think at the time, James Harden should have been leading the league in assists, but I don't think the amount of games that he played qualified for it. So I think James Harden should have been an all-star, but in that game, he came out and he played like he had something to prove. Had a very monstrous game. He had like 37, 38 points. He had 9 rebounds, and he had 10 assists. So I think that's a great sign for the Philadelphia 76ers that when they need James Harden to turn into that bucket that he once was, he can do that. And I think we see James Harden being more of a playmaker because you look at all of these great weapons around him. You have Tyrese Maxiell, you have Tobias Harris, you have guys who can knock down 3-point shots, and he has the best scoring big in the NBA, Joel Embiid. And we look at James Harden when he was dropping 32, 35. One time he dropped 36 points per game in a season. He didn't really have nobody to go to create their own shot. He didn't really have a player. You look at those Houston Rockets team, he didn't really have a guy who could go out there and get 20 points. So it makes so much sense why we seen him become one of the best scorers in NBA history. So James Harden, I really love what I saw from him in that Milwaukee Bucks game. And I think the 76ers, I think they're going to be able to depend on him going forward this season to end this season and also in the postseason. And one more thing about James Harden before we move on. Since he's returned from his injury, the Philadelphia 76ers, they have a record of 33-11, which is just simply outstanding. And I think James Harden, he's just had such a winning impact for the Philadelphia 76ers this season. And to move on, we can't talk about a dominating win streak or the Philadelphia 76ers dominating their competition without talking about their monster in the low post, Joel Embiid. Now, I've always been a fan of Joel Embiid, but it's always been from a distance. But since I've become a YouTuber, I watch just about every team in the NBA a little bit closer now. And when I tell you guys, I genuinely love watching Joel Embiid play because he just doesn't make any sense at all. And I gotta say, he's probably one of the hardest players in all of the NBA for opposing teams to figure out. Now, what I love about Joel Embiid, at his height and at his size, like however much he weighs, and I know he weighs a lot because looking at him on my TV screen, Joel Embiid, he looks massive, but even at his size, he's become one of those players that is just an automatic mismatch for who's ever guarding guarding him one-on-one. And not only a double team doesn't slow him down, but it's just going to take about 5 players on the defensive side of the ball to lock on to Joel Embiid, not to stop him, but just to slow him down. That's just how great he is. But back to the mismatches that he creates, and I've noticed this by paying a little bit more attention to the 76ers this year. You put a bigger player on Joel Embiid. For example, let me give you a guy like Brook Lopez. I've seen Brook Lopez and Joel Embiid compete against each other 2 times this season, and we all know Brook Lopez, he's evolved his defensive presence. Right now, he's one of the best shot blockers in the NBA. A few games ago, he just had a non-block game, which is crazy. So Joel Embiid, he uses that to his advantage. Brook Lopez, he's huge, he has a lot of length, but he's very slow. And if you watch the Milwaukee Bucks play, Brook Lopez, he doesn't really do no helping when teams run pick and roll. He stays in drop coverage all the time. So what he does when he's guarding Embiid likes to catch that ball at the top of the key or at the high post. And what he'll do, Brook Lopez, 9 times out of 10, he's sagging back, and his arms is so long. He's confident enough that that's going to be enough of a contest on Joel Embiid's jump shot. And Joel is so skilled. We don't see many bigs in the NBA do this. He'll take one dribble and pull up right into a jump shot. And I promise you guys, I've seen Joel Embiid do that at least 12 times against Brook Lopez. Just take one dribble into a pull-up jump shot. He's that skilled, and I just, I hope you guys understand how crazy that is. And then if you put somebody too small, a smaller big on Joel Embiid, like one that's thin, don't have no strength, that's barbecue chicken down there in the post. And I love his post game because he's elite. He has no weaknesses. He has amazing footwork. He's very strong, and he has every post move in the book. He can turn around from both shoulders, fade away, up and under, hook shot. Joel Embiid, he has no weakness on the offensive side of the ball. And it's crazy that I say that because he's also considered a two-way player. And even at his size, his height, and however much he weighs, he's very mobile on the defensive side of the ball. If they're playing against a point guard who can come off a screen and knock down a three-point shot, he has no problem hedging and getting out there. And also, he's a great shot blocker, and he can also protect the rim. So I just wanted to talk about how crazy of a talent that Joel Embiid has been this season. And when we look at the numbers are insane as well. I saw this stat. I was scrolling online through Facebook, and it showed like his game log for like the last 14 or 15 games. And I think in every game except for 3, he's had at least 30 points. So Joel Embiid, just like James Harden, as I feel like he's been a little bit disrespected as an individual as well. I think Joel Embiid, I think he should have been an all-star starter. I know it's been back and forth all season long with him and Luka leading the league in scoring. And if KD didn't get injured, Joel Embiid, I believe he wouldn't have been an all-star starter. And if I'm wrong about that, please let me know down below in the comments. And also with the MVP race, a lot of people saying that this race is not close. It's just Jokic and a class by himself. And I think with the way that Joel Embiid has been playing, he's been playing like a man on a mission. We know the last few times he's finished second place in MVP voting, and I'm pretty sure that's an individual goal of his, and he's damn sure been playing like it. So we look at these two guys right here, James Harden and Joel Embiid. I feel like they've been doing a fantastic job leading the Philadelphia 76ers with their play on the court and with their play off the court. And being a great team, it doesn't just start with 2 guys, but you have to have great pieces around you. In the Philadelphia 76ers, they have some pretty solid pieces around James Harden and Joel Embiid. Now we look at this roster outside of James Harden and Joel Embiid. I think the best player is obviously Tyrese Maxiell, and I think he's definitely going to be an all-star in this league one day because his work ethic is insane, and I've never seen him work out. But you just look at some of the things you've heard about him on his draft night. They said he couldn't shoot at all. Now you look at Tyrese Maxiell, nobody is leaving him open for a jump shot, and I think he's shooting the 3 ball at a pretty high level. So I'm big on Tyrese Maxiell. He's very fast, he's great at penetrating, and he's a really great offensive player. And look at some of these other players, PJ Tucker, and a lot of people don't understand how important PJ Tucker is because they look at the box score and they'll see he has like 3 rebounds and 0 points, and he only took 2 shots. But we look at who he's playing around: Joel Embiid, Tobias Harris, James Harden, Tyrese Maxiell. Do the 76ers really need him to score? No, and that's not what they brought him there for. They brought him there for his championship pedigree. He won a championship with the Milwaukee Bucks, and when the playoffs come around, you're gonna want PJ Tucker on your team because every night he's going to take on that challenge and the responsibility of guarding the opposing team's best player. And what I've seen over the last 6 years in the playoffs, PJ Tucker takes his defensive capabilities to a whole new level. And so the Sixers, they also have other solid pieces. Tobias Harris, whenever you got the 4th best defender guarding him, that's a win in my book. And we look to the second unit, you got George Niang, you got Anthony Melton, who I love a lot. You have one of the McDaniel brothers. So the 76ers, they have a really solid team, and we all know Doc Rivers over it. In times past, he always shortens his rotation in the playoffs. It might go from like 9 deep to like maybe 8 to 7. So we're gonna see what the 76ers final rotation is by the time the playoffs come around. But I've really been loving what I've seen from this team, and I think they can definitely compete with the other Goliaths. They can compete with the Boston Celtics, and they can compete with the Milwaukee Bucks. And I'm so excited for the playoffs, not only in the Eastern Conference but the Western Conference as well. And I think we're about to have one of the best NBA finals of all time if everyone can stay healthy. I'm really looking forward to it. But that's going to be it for this video. If you guys enjoyed, please leave a like, comment down below if you agree or disagree, and then subscribe for more weekly content. We do this all the time, man. And that's curtains.